GC. There's been a great deal of discussion at the last meeting and negotiations on conditions, and we do have one additional proposed amendment to discuss this morning, and Councilor Allen was going to make it, but I don't see him yet. So if the applicant would like to come forward and explain what has been requested, and then we'll see if the council will make the motion to make the final amendment.
Thank you, Lucy. My name is George Mize. I'm with the law firm of Page Cranham. I'm representing your applicant. The amendment we like to make to Gary's motion last week was to simply remove the word accessory from condition number 2 that prohibited, there's Gary, he can speak for himself, but that prohibited restaurant use on the square acre on the corner of Solomon Road and Highway 80. And the purpose for that was depending on how you read that word accessory, you could exclude like a deli from Publix or a bakery from a Publix or a grocery store like that, and that was never the intent. And I think that was, Gary, you want to add to that? Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize for being a little late. We have had a couple of meetings with the neighbors, and we talked through several of these issues. I think we're all on board. Not everybody is got what they wanted, but I think we have reached an agreement. To George's point, we did talk about this word last Thursday, and it seems like everybody was in agreement that was okay. So I would like to make that in the form of a motion.
All right. There's a motion second to amend as stated. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The amendment passes.
Now we're ready for a vote on the rezoning itself.
Move adoption.
Second.
Motion second to adopt. Any discussion? All right. Bruce, would you cue there we go. Councilors, please register your votes. And it passes.
Thank you.
And just a quick comment, this is the way the process is supposed to work. A district councilor and at-large councilors got together with the neighbors and tried their best to address all concerns, and the developer was proactive in seeking their input as well. So I think everybody did a great job on that. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you. Councilor Thomas.
Mr. Mayor, our minutes from the last meeting that are publicized online do not show that the developers had agreed to donate some land for the right turn lane. I'd like to see that in the minutes just for the record, for it to be on record that they had done that.
Okay, what's the best way to do that, City Attorney? Just make it in the form of an amendment?
We could propose it as a correction to the minutes since it was discussed, and then when it would appear in the minutes.
Then I move that the minutes be amended to include that that item.
Okay. Motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The minutes will be amended. Thank you, ma'am, for catching that.
All right, next up, ready for a vote, is a rezoning at 2214 Patty Avenue.
Motion and second to approve. Any discussion about item 2? All right, please cue it, and please register your votes. It passes.
All right, and our last second reading item is the millage rate ordinance back for second reading this week. We do have a minor amendment, which our finance director will request.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just as a point of clarification, in speaking with the tax commissioner last week, in the ordinance as originally presented, the second installment due date was listed as December 1st, which is a Sunday. The tax commissioner has requested that it be listed as December 2nd, which is a Monday, and that the delinquent date be listed as December 3rd. So we'd like to make that adjustment as a point of clarification per the tax commissioner.
A motion second to change the date from December 1st to December 2nd. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The amendment passes. I think the second.
Now ready for a vote on the entire ordinance.
Motion second to approve item 3. Any discussion? All right, please cue it. You can register your votes, please. And that passes.
And lastly, we have our annual resolution authorizing the attorneys that we will use during the course of the year in the city attorney's office.
It's ready for a motion? Motion second to approve the resolution. Any discussion? All, please cue it. Y'all can register your votes, please. That is approved.
Thank you, that's all we have.
Okay. And there is no one listed on the public agenda for today. Okay, Mr. City Attorney, we'll move to your agenda.
City Manager, thank you, sir.
Oh, City Manager, I'm sorry. No, look at the right. I got so excited with nobody on public agenda, I lost it.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Got a few items on my agenda. The first is a University of Georgia Columbus Consolidated Government County Extension Personnel Contract Memorandum of Understanding. We do this each year at this time, and there is no change in the amount funded by the Columbus Consolidated Government to the Cooperative Extension, but we do enter this MOU, this personnel contract, and we're asking your approval today.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Any discussion? All right, please cue it. Councilors, please register your votes. Passes.
I've got the One Georgia Authority grant for the Columbus Sports Council. We're asking approval to submit an application, and if approved, accept this grant from One Georgia Authority of the Georgia Department of Community Affairs on behalf of the Columbus Sports Council, and it's for the renovations of the South Commons softball complex in anticipation of hosting.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Any discussion? All right, please cue it.
And, Mr. Mayor, I might note that we serve as a pass-through agent, and we have the Sports Council President CEO here, Mary Sherman. She doesn't have to speak. I would ask her to stay around because our Parks and Rec Director, as an update, is going to be talking about South Commons, and we might hear from her at that time.
Okay, and that motion is approved.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Can I ask one question
Yeah.
before we vote? Is there matching funds on that?
There is no match.
no, it's just a grant. Okay, and it is approved.
Okay, I've got a number of purchases, Mr. Mayor and members of council. The first two, A and B, would be what you approved as we...
Second.
There's a motion and a second, it's been seconded to approve all of the purchases, A through M. Is there any one that council would like pulled out for discussion?
Could he complete what he was saying about the parks and rec?
Yes, we'll go through all of them. We can. You want to hear that before we vote? We can.
Please.
Okay. If you would go through them.
Yes, the A and B would be something that was discussed during the budget process. They needed some equipment, and they needed it relatively quickly now so that they could address some things as we face the upcoming event that's going to be at South Commons, and council was gracious enough to allow us to use salary savings for the 19 budget and advance that $250,000 up to $250,000 to purchase these critical items that were needed in terms of equipment. And so field maintenance equipment for Parks and Rec, and then the inmate van vehicle for Parks and Rec was number 2. But on the field maintenance equipment, there's 8 pieces of equipment that they're able to purchase for the $203,000. And so that is going to help Parks and Rec tremendously. Again, B is the inmate vehicle for Parks and Rec. C is athletic equipment maintenance repair services for the Columbus Police Department with their athletic equipment and for athletic equipment that they have at Parks and Rec. D would be work uniforms for various city departments like Metro Public Works, Engineering, Civic Center, and other departments on an as-needed basis. E is a change order, 2 for Melrose Drive, Boxwood Boulevard, Decatur Street bridge replacements, and we did not have enough funding to take care of all of those bridges at the time that we brought it forward, and so Southeastern Site Development agreed to hold their pricing for the Decatur Street and Melrose Drive bridges until funding became available, and this is $119,410 that we can move forward with those bridges and all that's done. F, payment for local phone service billing, and local phone service billing includes things like ambulance service, T1 lines, the actual phone number blocks, the 225 number that we use, the 653 that we use in the city government, analog fax lines and other analog lines. It includes connections to places like landfill and other specialized buildings. And then G, annual maintenance disaster recovery recording for real estate computers, and that is $12,380. It covers the disaster recovery recording for a one-year period with Tyler Technologies. H is annual tag reader maintenance for police department, and we all are familiar with the tag readers, and the tag reader is an image processing technology used by CPD to identify vehicles by their license plates, and they can catch you going either direction right through a parking lot, and it will pick up stolen cars or expired tags or wanted individuals. We've got state-mandated solid waste disposal fees. It's $54,540.75, and this is a required payment to the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, and it's based on the total solid waste disposed in a year, and we disposed 74,205 tons, and so that is the required fee. We've got inmate housing services in Harris County, and we do house inmates in Harris County only when it's necessary due to some security concern, and let's say there's multiple people involved in a single crime and they're separated, there's a need to separate them, we may house them in Harris County, and so there's a fee of $20,310 that we're paying for that. Garbage truck repair, we've got pharmaceutical agreement for fire EMS. You know, the ambulance units do have pharmaceuticals, and it's through Piedmont, Columbus Regional, that they get those pharmaceuticals, that they can use them as they go out on the various calls. M, course instructors for the Department of Human Resources, the Learning Center with Columbus State University, where we do train our employees in various categories as necessary, and on an annual basis, we typically will spend about $15,000 with someone like Columbus State for training of employees throughout the city government. Those are the purchases, A through M, and Mr. Mayor, I believe there's already a motion to approve.
There is, and a second, so if we could just cue the vote. And councilors, please register your vote. Still missing one. Purchases are approved.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Mr. Mayor, I have said to you and the council in previous meetings that we want to bring what I will term as affiliate agencies or outside agencies that we fund outside of the Columbus Consolidated Government, where they support your constituents, the citizens of Muskogee, bring value and quality of life to your constituents, the citizens within Muskogee County. In recent weeks, we brought the health department here, and I told you that we fund them for rent of a facility and for some other programs and services for residents of Muskogee County to the tune of $800,000 or so. Well, you also fund the River Valley Regional Commission, and it's mandated by state that we fund them based on population. So we fund them roughly $200,000 a year. And I've said to you that we are going to bring those affiliate outside agencies before you, that they can update you on a regular basis during the course of the year, maybe once a quarter, that they can share with you what they're doing with the money that you're allocating to them for your constituents, the citizens of Muskogee. And so today we have the new director of River Valley Regional Commission here, Mr. Jim Livingston. You know, Patty Cullen recently retired, and he's the new director. And so he is here to update you, update the citizens on River Valley Regional Commission. And they're here in Muskogee but serve many counties, but Muskogee is one of the many counties they serve. And so with that, Mr. Jim Livingston.
Mr. City Manager, Mr. Mayor, thank you all. We're excited about this and relish the opportunity to update you on all the things that we are doing. We do view you all as our investors. We are a 16-county region. We go all the way to I-75. The largest jurisdiction in our region by far is the city of Columbus. And you are our major investor, and we appreciate that. And we do understand that you need to and want to and understand your return on investment for us. I'm going to pass this. That is just an overview of the things that we do as a regional commission. We're a 55-year-old organization. I'm not sure you all knew that. We were started back in the 60s, actually by Jimmy Carter, as a federally recognized, federally designated economic development district. We still serve that role. That is our core piece, and that is where we've been. That's why we've been here. We are one of, there are partner organizations like ours all across the country, supported by Federal Economic Development Administration and also supported by the local governments that we serve. As Isaiah mentioned, Patty Cullen retired a couple of months ago, and I've taken over the role as executive director. I get asked quite a bit, how is Patty doing? And she's doing just great. I think she's enjoying her retirement and has most recently been seen at the beach. So we serve, and we serve north to Harris County, and we serve south to Lake Walter F. George, as we call it on the Georgia side. Most of the folks that are on the other side of the border call it Lake Eufaula, but it's Clay County. We go all the way east to Cordele in Crisp County and Dooley County. One of the things that you will recognize in our region is it is very, very rural. We have a lot of farmland, we have a lot of rural communities, and small southern rural communities are struggling. And we spend a lot of our time helping out those small rural communities. Stewart County in our region, just south of you all, is the 5th poorest county in the country. There's a lot of work to be done throughout our region in addressing those issues. I brought a couple of folks with me that impact Columbus more than most others in our staff. Kia Morris is with our aging department. She'll talk a little bit about the aging work that we do, and that's extremely impactful for what you all look at and do with in Columbus. And I've also brought Allison Slocum, who is our historic preservation planner. She helps you all in a number of historic preservation planning reviews. We take your investment in us very seriously. We are recognize that our finances are very strong, and we take that fiduciary responsibility very seriously. Ms. Chubb, you mentioned earlier the matching requirements of the grants that we work with. We work on over $8 million worth of projects in the region. Your investment in us matches and allows us to leverage and allows us to do a whole lot more than we would otherwise be able to do. We could not do that without the support of the City of Columbus. I'm going to read through, not everything on this, I'm going to let you all read through it, but I'll give you an idea of the sort of scope and breadth of what we work on. In the comprehensive planning realm, we work with our local governments, including City of Columbus, to help you all look at and review your comprehensive planning staff. Your city planning staff here is fabulous. They do a great job of the day-to-day work. They ask us to review things from time to time just to get an outsider's perspective, and we're always happy to do that. We help you all with service delivery strategies as those come up. We deal with service delivery strategies on the state level 16 times over. We know who to talk to at the state and know how to sort of figure out those issues quickly. Workforce development, we don't directly help you all. City of Columbus has your own workforce board working with the 8 counties and our 8 western counties. We do have a workforce board that is headquartered out of Americus. We do with 8 eastern counties in our region. But we also have worked on with Howard Pendleton and the workforce board here, the regional workforce plan. We wrote that a couple of years ago. Economic development, as I mentioned, we are the federally designated economic development district for the region. That means we do look at a number of different projects that come through, including projects of regional importance, developments of regional importance. We're a review agency to look at those larger projects that come through. A key part of what we do for Economic Development Administration is write a comprehensive economic development strategy. Ours is online. There's actually not a print copy of our CEDS document, our Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy document. That is because it's all online. We were recognized nationally for that CEDS document and the innovation, because our challenge is this, and it just continues to be our challenge, and Ms. Pugh and Pops who sit on our board, they hear us talk about this quite regularly. Our challenge is this: we have got Fortune 1000 companies that we help and look at in this region, and we also got small farm towns. And the challenge of looking at an economic development strategy that deals with both the very large and the very small it can be a challenge. The way we handled it for our comprehensive economic development strategy this year is this: we took the City of Columbus, the Chamber's Regional Prosperity Initiative, the Columbus 2025 project, and made that a core component of our comprehensive economic development strategy. We folded into that an initiative that Americus and Sumter County were working on, One Sumter Initiative. They raised $2.4 million for their economic development strategy and implementation. Fabulous plan for that community. We folded that into our comprehensive economic development strategy, and we also folded in a small rural community, Randolph County, that had also done an economic development strategy. All 3 plans were right-sized for those communities, and we folded those together and put together and linked out to all of those plans as a part of our CEDS document. I'm going to let Kia talk a little bit more about aging, but it is a major component of what we do. Mr. House, you know more about that than most sitting on our advisory boards, but we are very impactful with how we help an elderly and aging population. Allison will cover a little bit more about the historic preservation planning work that we do. We also work with GIS systems. You all have your own GIS systems here in Columbus. You cover and do a lot of that. We help communities that are not impacted, that don't have those resources. And that's really important for things like the census coming up. To me, one of the most important components, one of the most important projects we're going to be working on over the next year, in fact less than a year, is that census count. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We do grant writing. We do a lot of grant writing. If you all have projects that you need grant writers for, we'd be happy to help with that at any time. And then the last piece I'm going to talk about just briefly here is transportation planning. We support a number of different transportation systems through Georgia Department of Transportation and DHS that come through and intersect with Metro here in Columbus. And so we work to help to coordinate that. I'm going to hand this over to Kia, then Allison, then I'll come up with a couple of last-minute things.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As part of the Area Agency on Aging, the Aging and Disability Resource Connection continues to serve clients that are 60 and over and those of any age with disabilities. From July 1st of 2018 to May 31st of 2019, we provided home-delivered meals to 178 clients at a cost of $322,108, congregate meals at the Senior Center to 76 clients at a cost of $189,103, homemaking services to 45 clients at a cost of $372,340, and respite to 21 clients at a cost of $483,275, and that is a total of $1,366,826. We're also providing transportation to 19 clients that take dialysis for a total of 3 round-trip trips a week. There are clients that may otherwise have no assistance to get to these much-needed appointments. Our annual wellness walk held in May during Older Americans Month had a total of 563 participants and vendors. During the summer of 2018, we provided 454 clients with $20 vouchers to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables. Our Aging and Disability Resource Connection counselors had 7,352 calls into our agency during July 1st of 2018 to May 31st of 2019. These clients were assisted with resources, options counseling, and assessments. Through our evidence-based programs, clients and caregivers are able to participate in classes such as Tai Chi, Chronic Disease Self-Management Program, Diabetes Self-Management, A Matter of Balance, and Powerful Tools for Caregivers. We also offer caregivers reimbursement for respite services for those caring for clients with dementia. There's case management that offers personal in-home assessments and develops personalized care plans. Our Assistive Technology Lab also showcases items such as equipment, software programs, and product systems that are used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of persons with disability and older adults. Option counseling, either in nursing home or community transition programs, also help those in nursing homes to transition back into the community. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've been working with the City Planning Department for the past 19 years. I provide BHAR assistance on a regular basis. In this past fiscal year, 2019, we reviewed 46 cases for the Board of Historic and Architectural Review. That's one of the lowest numbers we've had in a number of years. In the past 10 years, the largest number of cases we've had is 73 cases that has been reviewed in a year, and that was in the year 2010, 72 in the year 2016. So having only 46 is quite a downturn for us. Things that are coming up for the City of Columbus, your Historic Resource Survey is 20 years old. It is time for it to be redone. I've been working with the City Planning Department as well as with Historic Columbus Foundation to try to find funding to help y'all get that accomplished. That's one of the requirements for y'all to remain a certified local government, which is different than the qualified local government. CLG is a program through the National Park Service that has a separate grant funding arm to it that y'all are able to apply to for anything that you need. I think the last thing you applied for was the Claflin School got CLG funding to do some of the renovations there. Also, in the past, I've worked with the Community Reinvestment Department to do some reviews of any CDBG-funded housing work, whether it be rehabs or demolitions. We are going to be signing a programmatic agreement with the city again for me to provide those services. It'll be slightly different than last time, but this will provide you with at least an in-town review of those cases instead of having to send everything up to Atlanta to the State Historic Preservation Office. So at this point in time, Community Reinvestment has written that programmatic agreement, and it is in Atlanta being reviewed. So as soon as that's done, it will be signed by our department and by y'all, and I'll begin to do those again as well.
your investment here is important, and your return on investment is equally important. On the aging side alone, your investment of $200,000 has yielded $1.3 million worth of projects. That's an aging side alone. That is a portion of what we do here. I want to highlight two other projects we've been working on. One project we've been working on for the past 5 years is brownfields. I know the City of Columbus received a brownfield cleanup grant this year. We also received, as the River Valley Regional Commission, a brownfield assessment grant for 4 eastern counties to deal with some rural infrastructure issues there. This is a project we've been working on since 2015. These projects and the success you have now is predicated on work you're doing in the past. We like to work behind the scenes. That's how we do not want to be out in front of local governments, whether it's City of Columbus or any of the local governments we work with. We like to work behind the scenes. And sometimes that means that you all may not know all the things that we do, and so we also love to have the opportunity to come in front of you to go over some of that. But another project that is going to be impactful for Columbus that we are working on now, and this is, we'll come back in 5 years and talk about the successes of this. We have written a grant to U.S. Department of Agriculture for a market study to look at a cold storage facility here in Columbus. This is a small grant. This is a small investment by USDA into the City of Columbus that could have very impactful down the road work that could be either at the Old Farmers Market or some other location in town, depending on what that study says. We have commissioned with the University of Georgia to write this study. They're working on it now, and we will certainly would love to come back and talk to you about that particular component of what we do in the past, in the future. With that, do you all have, one other thing I do want to cover. I mentioned briefly the census. This is going to be extremely important for all of us in the region. It is certainly going to be important for City of Columbus. I know you all know the importance of this. In the region, we're going to be looking at the census as the most important project we have coming up over the next year and making sure that we have everybody counted. Here is our problem. Our history of having people counted has been problematic. We are an undercounted region. And that has implications from federal funding to local funding to political jurisdictions. If we miscount or have an undercount, that is a problem for all of us. It is also a problem for you all here in the City of Columbus. And I know you all are working on your complete count committees. I just want to elevate that as an important component for all of us to be thinking about. I'm going to pass out 2 maps here. The first, and let me just show you where they are first. Or let me take 2 and let you pass them out. Thank you. The first map here is the state of Georgia. It shows you where the undercounted communities are in the state of Georgia. And you will notice in our region we have a lot of them, more in our neck of the woods than in most places. That is problematic for all of us. The second is a map of Muskogee County, and this comes from GMA and DCA. This is not a map that we created, but it does list the hardest to count census tracts in Muskogee County. This is an area for us to look at and continue to work on, because we know historically where we've undercounted people. We know those census tracts that have been undercounted. That's an area for us to target. The complication with us for this coming year is the Census 2020 will be done entirely online. This is not a paper version. We have lots of areas that do not have good broadband connections. And that is going to be problematic and hard, and it was going to require extra effort just to stand still. And standing still, to me, in an undercounted community is not sufficient. It's not good enough. We need to make sure that we are working to count everybody. In Muskogee County, In the 2020 census, 31% of the residents here are in hard-to-count communities. Either they're living in group homes, their living situations are challenging, or they have historically been hard to count. The other complication here is 21% of Muskogee County does not have, has either no internet or just dial-up services. Now, there are a lot of folks that have cell phones and will be able to use a smartphone to do that, to do the census count, but not everybody's going to be able to do that. We've got work to do on this, and I just want to highlight this because we have work to do on this. We have been working on this. We've been working with you all on this, but we are running out of time, and we need to be working on this and thinking about it now. So, with that, Mr. Manager, do you have anything else you would like me to cover, or you all have any questions for me?
Councilor Crabb.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have some ideas of what we can implement in order to get our counts up in these hard-to count?
Yeah, so you all have, you've been working on this. The U.S. Census Bureau has already been to Columbus and given presentations here. The key for us is activating a complete count committee. That's what I'm going to be working on. We have the Census Bureau coming to speak to our council meeting in Buena Vista next week, and my expectation and hope is that we will be activating our complete count committees to be able to think through this, because this turns into a census block. This turns into physical addresses and physical people and physical places. And organizations that know those physical places and people are comfortable with are more likely to turn out the responses for the census. So those, nationally, Census is asking us to work on and activate those complete count committees. And I believe, Mr. Manager, your planning department is responsible for those complete count committees here?
They are, and working along with the mayor's office, the mayor has appointed a lead person. That person is working along with Mr. Rick Jones and our planning department in that regard.
Yeah.
We're approaching this with a very serious attitude to try to elevate our levels of response significantly. Because as you pointed out, it's more than just getting an accurate count for the sake of numbers. There are dollars attached to each number we leave. Each individual that doesn't get counted, we leave money on the table.
That's correct. That's correct. And as you look at the jurisdictions that are getting counted, every single one of them is above I-20. And that's going to be impactful for all of us south of 20, south of 85.
Any other questions? Councilor Huff has a question.
Good morning. Thank you and everyone for making your presentations this morning. If you would, the map that you just gave us, we didn't have it when we were trying to get it distributed. If you would, go over the percentages here on the map as far as the colors, where the locations are.
So first of all, I will make sure you all have an electronic copy of this so you can get it. It is on the GMA website. It is also on DCA's website. It is also on our website. So the challenge here is the mail return rate. This is looking at, I'll look at the map first and the percentages here.
Yeah.
The mail return rate, that is the number of people, the percentage of the existing population that actually bothered to fill out the census and turn it back in. Anything that is not marked here is above 73%. That's considered good. All right. Anything above 25% non-response rate was considered good, which to me is, a challenge there too. Any census that is in the dark red, that's bad. Anything that is in dark red, that means very, very few people responded. Now, you'll notice that Chattahoochee County and most of those blocks cover, for Chattahoochee County, that covers Fort Benning. That's an outlier. I would dismiss that. But the areas that we have here that are darker red, really it's going up Second Avenue corridor. These are our usual suspects. We know these communities. We know these areas. We work in them daily. And so making sure that we touch them and make sure that they respond is the key piece here.
So is that our only hot spot?
Take a look at the map here. I would say everything, everything sort of on the river side looks like it's a little bit warmer. Okay. I don't think we have any jurisdiction here that I would consider, oh, that's really bad, we got a problem there. Real serious problem there. None of it's good. Okay. None of it's good. But I would say that really really that's the core community here, Councilman Huff. I mean, that's what we're looking at there.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions? Mr. Livingston, thank you and your staff for being here. We greatly appreciate you spending a little time trying to educate us and keep us updated on all the great work that the RVRC is doing.
Well, appreciate it. We'll anytime.
Thank you, sir, for coming. Mr. Mayor, the final update that I have on my agenda is the South Commons update, and we all know what is about to happen at South Commons. We've got the Director of Parks and Recreation is here, Holly Browder, and again, Ms. Mary Sherman is here, who's the President and CEO of Sports Council, and they are working together to make sure that we are ready for this big event in July. And I think they're moving along quite well. So I ask that they come in and update council because we won't meet again prior to that event. And I felt like you needed to see some pictures of what's going on and ask any questions before that event occurs. So with that, Ms. Holly Broder, our Parks and Rec Director.
Good morning, Mayor, members of council, Mr. City Manager. As Mr. City Manager said, we want to come this morning and give you a quick update of where we stand. Of course, we still have ongoing work, some finishing touches that will have to occur before our teams arrive and before we begin play for International Cup on July 1st. But very quickly, I'll go through, as they always say, pictures speak a million or 1,000 words, whichever. So I want to give you a couple quick pictures through here and then be happy to answer any questions. So we start out, this is some before, you can see the stadium before we did any work. This is simply what it looked like. 6, 7, and 8 are the 3 fields that we focused on. 7 is the actual stadium. A few more pictures showing you just the work that needed to be done. These are the interior rooms inside the stadium. Here represents the bathrooms and also the kitchen before inside the stadium, as well as the walls that you can see underneath the stadium and the corridor, as well as the metal structures, and then again another room. Currently, the work that we have focused on, and I won't go through every single one, but just to give you some of the highlights of things that we did. We repainted the inside of the stadium, the corridors and all rooms, so all metal structures were repainted. Redid Field 7. Field 7 will be the main playing field that we will play on for International Cup, so it was completely reworked, all new infield, all new outfield, all new sod, irrigation, everything was done. I do have to brag for a moment, though, that when the company came out to do the work and they lasered, which means they measured the fields to see what they needed to be done, I'm very happy to report that our staff has done such a phenomenal job in the years since the stadium was built that there was only a 1% difference. That is phenomenal because we didn't have the equipment that they have. We don't have the supplies and the things that they have. We're not that kind of company. But our staff was able to maintain it through all the years that the stadium has been there at a 1%. That's phenomenal, and we were pretty excited to hear that. So we know they do a great job. New ADA ramp, new dugout tops. We have a new generator that was put in the facility, new lighting all the way throughout. We sealed the stadium concrete bowl, which means all of the bleachers were taken out, new seats were added, and the concrete inside the stadium was sealed. The bathrooms have been updated and renovated. All new fiber, high capacity data wiring has been put in the facility for us to be able to stream games with ESPN, who will be here during that week, as well as any of our other events that we will host in the future. A new PA system throughout, and one of the biggest upgrades, which will also be a cost savings for the city, is all new LED lighting on those 3 fields, which is a very big deal for us. The quality of the lighting is top-notch, so we are very appreciative of that. As you can see, the list goes on and on for the things, the work that was done. Like I said, I won't go line by line, but as you can see, there was a lot of work that was done at the stadium and the other 2 fields in the previous months. So again, pictures speak 1,000 words. These are the new seats that are now inside the stadium when you go in, and they have our logo on them. That's the press box area that you see if you're looking back up, the nice new red painting. The steel structures have all been sanded and recoated and look phenomenal. This is the interior now. And I will say these pictures were taken before they had a chance to clean up, so if you see any dirt or anything out on the concrete, they haven't had a chance to clean it up because we took these a couple weeks ago. But just to give you an idea, new sound throughout the corridor area underneath the stadium so people can hear, all new lighting. Again, here's a different view so you can see the seats and the bleachers, and the gray that you see in between the seats is the new concrete sealer that was placed throughout the entire stadium. That will help us as far as water goes and any water leaking down through the stadium into the lower rooms. This will help us to offset some of that. May not solve it all, but it will be a huge contribution to that. Upstairs, these are the 2 hospitality rooms that are on the first base and the third base side. So the left picture and the right picture are the new flooring, new paint, just freshened up to make them look nice and clean and neat. In the middle, that represents the new windows that we have. For those of you who've ever been there, we had old just solid windows that you couldn't open up. Now we can actually open those windows, they slide. So for an organization like ESPN or somebody who wants to come and stream or do broadcast, you can actually hear the game now live, just like you're sitting on the front row, because we were able to open those windows up. Another addition to the press box is we were able to add a second row for press that will be there, so they are a tiered seating, so we can accommodate more press in the press box and everyone has a place to sit and be able to see. Here you can see our new bathrooms. We have new partitions and new bathrooms, new floor sealant on the floor, new paint, as well as new water fountains. One of the big things that we push for and have started to push in our facilities as we replace water fountains across the city is the newer stations that also allow you to do water bottle refilling. We're trying to be environmentally cautious and friendly as well as economical so that people who want to reuse their bottles can do so. So one of the big things we pushed for as part of the project was to put in water bottle refill stations throughout the stadium, and they're also inside the dugouts as well for those players to be able to do that as well. Here represents the dugout area. Like I said, I apologize, there's dirt you'll see because wasn't cleaned up just yet. But the dugouts have new seating. There again, the logos are prominently displayed. Also new racks that will go above the dugout. They can put their bags or hang things up, as well as the new helmet case that will be there, as well as the front of that will hold bats. In the middle top center picture, you will see there is a new ADA ramp that allows accessibility to both dugouts. So there's one on each side. So if you have someone who is wheelchair bound or has some type of disability or has a hard time walking downstairs, there's now ADA ramps on both sides. The bottom right picture will show you there is a new fence that's been added above the dugout area that it goes straight up. So if you have a foul ball that goes off and it goes left or right, those who are standing in the dugout area are a little bit more protected. Doesn't go over the top, but it does go up high enough that if it's a line drive, it does have a little bit. Now, obviously, if they're standing right on the fence, there's not a whole lot we can do, but for the most part, it is safety. It is. Yes, it is. It's much safer for them as well, just to give you an idea. And the water fountain is the example of the water fountain I mentioned that's actually inside the dugouts. Here represents on the left the upstairs. This is the overlook area upstairs once you come out of the elevator. Center middle is the new generator I mentioned. The right's just more paint work, more structure work that's been done. Bottom left is we got new, one of the things we asked for was new safety glass, if you will, that goes behind the backstop. So if we have media that comes in and they want to be able to do right behind home plate, they can. It's crisp and clean and clear, and one of the biggest things you find in sports is that's the area that gets scratched from balls hitting it and things like that. So we did ask for an upgrade there just to get that nice and presentable. And then again, more structure paintwork that you see there on the bottom. Kitchen equipment, we're very happy to have all new kitchen equipment in the kitchen. We have the kitchen when you first come in the complex or in the stadium on the right-hand side. This represents some of the equipment that you will now see in the stadium, so we're excited about that for our vendor to have new equipment, be able to produce more things perhaps than they did previously, serve additional items due to the upgraded equipment. Here, again, just a few pictures so you can see new speakers, new lights. That's the actual look from home plate back into the grandstand area, just to give you an idea. New lights, as I mentioned, new LED lighting was put in. The center picture represents, that's the controller. Now everything is all automated or digital, and so that screen that you see is touch screen, and that's how we control the lights. We can do light shows if someone hits a home run on the actual stadium field. We can make them feel super special, especially if we're doing high school or something like that. We can twinkle the lights a little bit just to make it a little bit more outstanding. But we do have the controller there for staff to be able to operate the system. As you can see, if you look at those lights, and I apologize, the pictures aren't the greatest, but the lights now show downward. If you've ever looked at any of our current existing lights, there's a lot of shadow. There's a lot of overlighting that you get with traditional or older lights, meaning there's a lot of light that casts down and gives shadows away from where you're actually playing. So we get complaints from various areas sometimes because there's a lot of light that shines outward. These lights do not do that. They shine downward. It's a new concept and the new way lighting systems are being designed. And so there's no overshadowing from the lights. So if you go out on Victory Drive and there's a game going on at night, the lights will not shine out on Victory Drive any longer. They only shine down into the playing surface. So it's a new system concept where it has down lighting, and there's also a light at the bottom. We didn't capture that, but it's called up lighting. And so it's a totally different look, if you will, to traditional lighting, but really excited about that. And also the economic side of it, the money that we hope to save with new LED lighting. So we're really excited. A few more pictures to give you an idea. The picture on the left are the new pitching, my apologies, the new warm-up areas for pitchers, basically. And the other pictures are the new sod that's been put in the entryway there. Because of all the construction and everything, it was resodded, re-landscaped. So it looks really, really nice as you come into the complex there on the side. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions about South Commons this morning?
Yes, Councilor Huff?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations. That's all I can say to both of you.
Thank you.
You came to us with the project, and everyone up here has probably played at least church softball or something and been involved in the events of trying to navigate a field. And I like some of the safety measures that you put in place. It was for probably foul balls to help the players on the inside, which is good because sometimes you get caught in the conversation and you don't see it coming. But for a player taking chances on a foul ball to try to catch that foul ball, that was wonderful because we, will slide and do different things and it keeps you from flipping over into the dugout.
Yes.
Yeah, but the facility looks great. I ride by there all the time. I've been trying to stay out of the way and just see it all. But it looks phenomenal.
Yes,
thank you all for what you've done.
Thank you.
Look forward to it. I'll be there.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir. I tell you, I don't think people understand what a big deal this is, to have the world coming back to Columbus, Georgia. And if you don't have a daughter or a sister or maybe even your wife that plays fast pitch softball, you need to go check it out. I'm telling you, it is one, I hate to say this because I'm a big baseball fan, it'll almost ruin you for baseball. It is the most action-packed sport that I have been a part of. And we're going to have some of the best players in the world here first part of July. So it's you ought to join us out there. Councilor Woodson?
Yes. Ms. Holly, I just want to say thank you. You have done an awesome job with all of our projects in our city, and I do appreciate it. Sometimes people don't know the big responsibility that Parks and Rec have and all the input that you make. I wanted to also, please take back to your employees that we truly, truly appreciate what they have done, and we're very, very proud that when they came to survey the grounds, we were doing so well. That goes to tell the dedication of employees we have, people that really do love their job. And please let them know that. Me personally, I'm pretty sure my colleagues feel the same way. We thank them very much. Gary was saying to me, well, here's another improvement to your district, and I was smiling like a little kid getting a birthday cake. So I want to say thank you, and please let us know. And I'm going to ask of you or the city manager or something, once the game starts and they come, we need to publicize it more, because it's just like the mayor said, a lot of people don't understand it. We need to be like a cheerleader group, come up here on Tuesday or something and say, get ready, we're getting ready to start. We're going to have these individuals visiting us, so that the people that watch our access channel or surfs for it will be able to keep up and remember, and will take a moment to go down there or take their children who've never had an experience of softball to be able to go there and see it and actually be in the facilities. Being in the military, I realize sometimes we don't appreciate what we have in our own communities. Because we're so used to it and we see it every day. But we have a beautiful community, and it's so different. And there are so many people that want to come and live in Columbus. I just met two families not too long ago that said, oh, I came here, I came to visit my son. He was graduating from Fort Benning, and I fell in love, and here we are. Another retired family, they retired in another place, but they decided that their home was going to be Columbus. So even though he retired in another base, he came back, to Columbus. So it's something that people we take for granted, let's put it that way. Because even when I go home to Puerto Rico, my family laughs because they call me the tourist, because I take them places they didn't even know existed in Puerto Rico. And I don't even live there. They've been there all their lives. I was just born there. And every time I go, I'm showing, hey, let's go here. How did you find out? And that's the same thing I'm beginning to realize with the people of Columbus. They don't know the jewels that we have in our community. And I feel it's our job, using the opportunity of our access channel and that podium there, to come back and tell us, to remind us what's going on in our community. And City Manager, I want to compliment you today, because bringing up these organizations that we donate funds to, that lets our taxpayers know where their money is being spent. That's educating them on projects and programs that they probably don't even know exist that could benefit them. For me, just sitting here today, the grant writing, I get tons of people that call me and projects I have and don't know how to fill out a grant. That's the first thing I marked. Wow, grant writers. So I want to tell you also, thank you very much. I truly appreciate all that you do. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Councilor Thomas?
I would like to ask President Sherman to talk to us just a bit about who will be here. I will tell you that I heard a conversation a couple of days ago from some folks that had been watching the College World Series, and they were so excited about what was going on and talking about Omaha, Nebraska, and all this stuff. And I'm going to challenge those folks to do the same thing with the softball World Cup, that it's going to be just as exciting, and they don't even have to go to Omaha, Nebraska to get this. They can go right down on Victory Drive. So tell us a little bit about who's coming and what we're looking for and what we expect to see during this tournament, if you would.
So we're super excited to have Team USA come back here. It'll be the first time they've been here since the Olympics. We've had some players over time who have done camps and different fundamental training with different groups in Columbus, but it'll be the first time that Team USA has come back. And so they'll be here, the junior team will be here. They're like the feeder program, or the up-and-coming players who will eventually take that national spot. So they'll be here playing, as well as China, Japan, the Philippines, Peru, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and then we have Scrapyard, which is an individual or independent team, and then we have the Pride, who will be coming, and they're a pro team. So we'll have a lot of elite players at our complex playing, and of course the games will be streamed, and then starting on July 4th, ESPN will start televising games. So we'll get a lot of exposure July 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
July 4th is when ESPN will start?
That is
what
when
you said?
ESPN starts. They'll be on site July 2nd, prepping the area and getting all their cabling and everything done, but they'll actually start televising on the 4th.
And, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I want to just say that ESPN has already been on site, met with the mayor. I had an opportunity to meet with them, so ESPN, they've come ahead of schedule to scope things and get it all checked out, so it will be on ESPN.
And they were incredibly impressed with what Ms. Sherman had exposed them to and showing them around parts of our community. I tell you, it's a great opportunity for Columbus, Georgia to take center stage on a worldwide viewed event. And I challenge everybody to come out there and be a part of it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And if you need somebody to throw out the first ball, there are a lot of folks, maybe even sitting around this table, that would be willing to do that. And I know that there are other folks in the community, particularly some of our high school teams and so forth, that we need to encourage them to attend and to participate as possible. So thank you, Ms. Sherman, for all of your work. And Ms. Bratter, it looks great.
It does. We're very proud. It's going to make Columbus look well on TV.
Councilor Woodson.
Ms. Sherman, or Holly, are they going to do like in the Olympics where they were recruiting volunteers to help in the stadium? If you can provide us some information on that. I volunteered in '96 when they came, and it was an awesome experience just to be a part of that. So there might be people listening out there that like to volunteer, would like to volunteer. And like my colleague said, there's some young men in the high schools that are playing, and women that are playing, that might want to volunteer just to be in that area and have that experience. So if you can tell us a little bit how people can volunteer.
We've had an overwhelming response to volunteers that have already signed up, and we have positions already filled for a lot of the volunteer. But if they are interested, they can definitely call our office at 706-660-1996. That's pretty easy to remember.
Yep.
And then our website is columbusgasports.com, so they can go on there, click on volunteer, and they can also email us directly at columbussportscouncil@columbusga.org, and we'll be glad to get them filled in to the positions that still might be available.
City Manager, we can get that information put on the access channel in our website. I would appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Councilor Huff?
One last point. I'm really excited. I'm like a little child. I was a student in mortuary school in Atlanta during the '96 games. So I couldn't come home to see the softball games. I couldn't participate in the events in Atlanta because we were doing clinicals and working. And I've always wondered what it was like. So this gives me the opportunity to go back and see the great softball in Columbus, Georgia. Because you see it all on ESPN and everywhere, and I've been on the road in Tallahassee and different places, but never here at home. So that's why I'm kind of bouncing out of my seat this morning. Thank you.
We do have a couple of promotions that we're running. On Wednesday, July 3rd, we'll have First Responders Day. So if they have their ID for a first responder, they will get in free to see the games. And then on Thursday, July 4th, it'll be City Appreciation Day. So anyone with a city ID badge will be able to get in free that day.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to ask Mary if there are, do you have a need for interpreters?
We do. On Sunday for the technical meeting at 6 o'clock over at the Marriott, I know we need a Spanish translator.
Okay.
So if there's anyone interested in doing that, we would love to have you for that technical meeting.
The reason I ask is Olin Doss is retired from the Sheriff's Department recently, but he is fluent in Spanish, so he...
That'd be perfect. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
We'll take you up on that.
but I'm sure there are others out there that, and, you know, respective to the other teams that we may need. I thought that'd be a good idea. Will there be sort of like a practice round that folks could attend in preparation for the...
They will start practicing when the teams arrive. I know Team USA gets in on the 26th. They're taking the 27th off, so you may see them around town. They're going to be doing some fun things in Columbus, but they'll start practicing on the 28th.
Will the public be allowed to go down and observe?
We won't open the complex until July 1 for spectators.
All right, that's good to know. Thank you.
Counselor Woodson? Do you have anything else?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can send you some Spanish speaker, and probably if you need someone in the Asian community, I can connect you with someone possibly in Italian also. I know a couple people. So if you call me later or text me, I do better, and tell me what you need, I can reach out into the community and see who's willing to come out and so forth. I know quite a few different people with different languages.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor, thank you. It's going to be a great event. We're excited.
And Ms. Mayor, you know, you've said it, and it's been said around the table, that this is an awesome opportunity. It's great for Columbus and the region. And as I saw the photos and as they've talked, you know, the thing that impressed me about this is that, you know, Mary and Holly and their team saw this opportunity. They went after this opportunity. We were not ready, and they acknowledged that. And they brought in professionals who could look at our facility and tell us what we needed to do to get it ready. They put a price on it. They came to you, the mayor and council, they presented it to you, and you were able to get it right off the bat, and without hesitation or reservation, you said yes to a lot of money to make this happen because you realize the economic impact. And Columbus is better because of that decision that you all made. And so we really need to say thank you, because it was the timeline was short. We really didn't realize, you know, how are we going to get this in? We need money. We didn't have money. The timeline was there, and, you know, how are you going to make it happen? Well, you said yes, and everybody worked hard, and it has happened. So the thank you from me really goes to you guys. I mean, thank you for seeing it, getting it, and saying yes, and making it happen. So we look for a great event, televised on ESPN. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If there are no further questions, Holly has one more thing that she would like to mention: Columbus Parks and Recreation Night Ballers Basketball.
Thank you. Yes, I'll be very brief, but I certainly wanted to make sure that you were all aware and get a little bit of information as we start our Night Ballers basketball program. Most people hear the name and they don't know what it is, so I feel like sometimes we should put a caption on it that says Midnight Basketball, but this is the name of the Midnight Basketball program, or the similar program that we are now offering here in the city of Columbus. I include community reinvestment. We've become great partners with Laura Johnson and her team and her department as we move forward with a lot of the things that we would like to see come to fruition, this being one of those. And so we thank them and their department for their assistance in funding this program. We couldn't have done it without them. But very quickly, wanted to give you an update of where we stand. And last weekend was our first weekend. We kicked off Friday and Saturday, the first games. We currently have 82 male participants, so we have 8 teams. We had 32 female participants to sign up, and we created 4 teams. Workshops are held each Saturday, and those are requirements. If they want to play, we used to have a slogan on the shirts that we did. If you had, that simply said, no workshop, no jump shot. And we're quite serious about that. We want to make sure that these guys have an opportunity, guys and girls, I apologize, but guys and girls have an opportunity to attend some of these workshops and get some different information from within the community. And so that is part of their eligibility to be able to participate. And also, we are providing on-staff. Houston Clinic is going to be our trainers for every game, so we do have some staff for the safety. As you mentioned earlier, yes, we are real big about that, but making sure we have some safety staff, somebody who's trained on the sidelines. And then simply I attached their schedule. There is going to be one change to the schedule. It occurred yesterday, but it was too late to make changes. Obviously, with the 4 women's teams that we've been able to add, we'll add 1 game every night. So our games are going to go, first game starts at 7, and the last one will end at 11. But just to give you guys an update of how we will structure going forward, just adding those women's games makes it a little bit longer. So that's pretty close to what we had at one of the largest times. And I playing midnight basketball, and I can say, because I was here back then and worked the games, we're about where we were when we played many, many years ago. And so we're super excited. Our staff is extremely excited and have taken real ownership of the program. Many of them are coaching the teams. Sometimes it's hard for us to get enough volunteers, coaches, folks in the community, although we are so appreciative for the ones we have. They do a phenomenal job, and we're grateful to have them. We don't always get enough, especially when we have a resurgence such as large as this is, and I don't think anybody could predict how many teams we were going to have for sure. But 14 teams out of the gate is pretty good, I'll be honest with you, for a program like this, and so extremely excited, but very appreciative of the staff who've taken ownership and are willing to step up and coach these teams for us and lead these young men and young women in the community. But like I said, we will play at 2 different venues, Shirley Winston and Frank Chester. We will go back and forth, and the games are at 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. We will advertise and have this. It's already put out publicly, but we'll continue to do so each week. We're trying to encourage more people to come and visit with us and watch the games. We had a good crowd last weekend, and staff were very pleased. The games went very well, and so we are excited about the program and moving forward. But very quick, just wanted to give you that update so you'd know that the program's doing very well, and we appreciate the support very much.
Good job. Councilor Allen?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm looking at the teams and the number of players you've signed up. I'm assuming this is 5-on-5?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay.
It is 5-on-5.
That's good, that's good. It's, and the other thing, you mentioned something about funding, and I missed that. Could you say that again?
Certainly. So the funding that operates this program is allocated through community reinvestment. We have a grant through their department to run this program, and it funds us for this year, is all we are funded at currently at this time. But we're excited. We really needed to see how it would go and how it would operate, and it has done very well. And so we hope that this is something we will work with community reinvestment to continue to work on throughout the years, because we think it can grow. We think we've reached a point where we can continue to grow it. But funding is always going to be a big concern for us, because the department, as the budget stands currently, is not funded for it. We have to go outside for additional funding. So yes, sir.
So do the players participate in any part of
There is no
funding?
cost, so I apologize, let me give you that information. There's no cost to players. Players simply need to sign up and then attend the workshops. That's why it's important for them to, that's their buy-in, to attend the workshops. But there is no cost for them, and it includes their uniform, it includes all the fees to run the program, so it's at no cost to the community overall. We simply just need them to sign up and to participate, and then come out and watch the games. We want folks to come out and watch the games.
And the workshop consists, what does the agenda consist of? Right
So
there?
it's different each week. We bring in somebody different. So sometimes we may have the police department, the sheriff's department come out and talk to them about different things in the community. Sometimes we'll do workshops where we set up interview skills and resume writing. It varies each week, but we try to do different things that are pertinent to that age group and the community, that they can learn different things. We've had attorneys come in from time to time and talk about, legal issues and how to stay out of legal issues. We've had doctors come in and talk about health. One of the big things that we have done in the past is sex education, HIV, AIDS, really health-related things that we want people to be aware of. We've even had people come in the past and do Dress for Success, how to dress for an interview, how to answer questions in an interview, how to do a resume to get that interview, but really focusing on the individuals to help them improve personally, to succeed in the community, and to do great things. So.
Well, being involved, Little League background, I know you came up through that too. Being on the board 10 years and serving as president 2 years, when children have to go out and raise funds to where they sell tickets or whatever it is, to help the league, that gives them a little buy-in. And that's why I was kind of drilling down on the funding. And I would really like for y'all to think about something like that. If the players have some type of investment in it, rather than just attending a meeting. And it sounds like you have a very good agenda for the meetings, but if they have some type of investment into it, it seems like they want to make it better, and gives them a little more buy-in. So it makes them proud too.
Yes,
so a lot of those things are tools that they can use as they grow in life and go on and try to accomplish and do good things. But I just wanted to try to plant that seed with you if we could.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Councilor Gary?
Director Browder, I'm really excited about this, and it's definitely looks like it's going to have great participation this year. If next year it continues to grow, I'd love to see it in either East or North Highland in my district. And I did have a question, because we don't have an indoor facility that's city-owned that's really in close proximity, but there are quite a few schools. Will the school district work with you about using their gyms?
A lot of times, yes. We have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with the school district, and so we do a lot of trade-offs for different things. They use a lot of our facilities, and we use some of theirs as well. So certainly, that's an opportunity for us to tap into as well. Really and truly, we wanted to just see how the program was going to grow.
Sure.
And like you, we hope it continues to grow and prosper and flourish, to get larger, and that'll allow us to move it around the city. That's always been the hope, is to be able to play in every different, or as many of the facilities as we can. But sometimes there's a time constraint, and sometimes there's other prohibitive nature, basically. A lot of our other facilities currently in the summer, you guys know we offer summer camp, and some of that restricts us a little bit in our usage of those facilities, because during the week we house about 100 kids in a lot of our rec centers in the summer. And so to be able to bring in a program like this, which requires supplies and different things, is a little bit of a juggling act, so we try to be cautious. But there's opportunities that exist, and as we grow, we'll certainly take a look at that, because that's the hope as well, is we want to expose the entire community and get as many people involved, and see it grow as we continue to grow the program. So yes,
Great,
sir.
thank you. And I'll do anything I can to help you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Councilor Huff?
Thank you. This is a program that has taken so far over 114 kids off the street at night. These are not bad kids, I'm just saying. It has allowed them some other opportunities not to be sitting at home in case they're in a single-parent household and the parent is working at night. They are somewhere supervised and staying out of trouble. I understand Councilor Allen's point, because I've worked in Little League, but some of these kids, I guess if we figure out some way they could, but some would not participate at all because they just don't have it. They don't have people to call on to buy items from them. But if, I personally need to help raise money for some of the kids to play, I'd be happy to. It's, as you move through, like I said, my schedule allows me to be out in Columbus all times of the day and night. So as we get more foot traffic, we have more problems. As we remove the foot traffic from the streets of Columbus, and the kids use up all this energy to be locked up in the gym at night to having fun with each other, they go home, they go to bed. It cuts down on car break-ins, which I had, about a month ago, and different things. So I just wanted to say kudos to you. I will come and attend some of the games. I spoke with some people a few years ago, maybe 2014, 15, and we were having this conversation. And they wanted to know why the kids were not home by 9:30 at night. I said, it's a different child. It's a child that would play basketball out in the cul-de-sac if he had a goal at night. He would be the Larry Bird or the Magic Johnson of the future may not go pro, but in his mind, he plays all of the time. And this is supervised. It gives them opportunity for mentors to come in and try to point them in the right direction. And I was with a group at Kia Motors about 2 weeks ago, and the changing of the mind in a week's time. They went through a camp. That last day at Kia Motors, a 22-year-old that's going to college late just had an epiphany of what he wanted to do. And I think this program will allow some kids to have some guidance along the way. Some people look at it as just basketball, but if you play sports long enough, you understand the life's lessons. I'm here some days thinking about things that coaches taught me as far as patience and how to deal with a group and be a team player. So thank you for what you're doing, and whatever I can do to help, I will.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, no. I'm still mourning one. I had a question. I had a call over the weekend, and the person asked me, when is reskating? When is various activities in Parks and Rec? I said, I don't know. And it dawned on me, I said, I never thought about it. Is there a dedicated number, or can we have a number where if somebody comes in the city, they're outside the city, they want to call and see what activities are going on in Parks and Rec in the community?
Yes, ma'am. We get calls all the time. Our staff field questions such as that every day from our admin side. And if they don't know the specific, they can get the specific answer to that. They have the opportunity to reach out to any of our divisions, any of our sections in the department. But they're always more than welcome to call our number, which is 706-225-4658. But I also want to say that many times we live in an age now, Councilman Huff sort of alluded that our generations now think a little bit differently. So most of it's all web-based, mobile-based, everybody's on their phone, their electronic device. And so a lot of our, or the majority of our information is out on our, not only our department webpage through the City of Columbus, but in our social media as well. One of the things that we do that all of you, I believe, are on, and if you're not, let us know somehow you've gotten off our list. Every Friday, our department does a newsletter, if you will. It's an update. It tells people what's going on in our department, not just in one area, but all areas of the city, all facilities, all locations, from rec centers to athletics to aquatics to sporting events. It's an overview, if you will, of what we have either going on that week, that weekend, what maybe something just happened to highlight that, or something that's coming up. That is also put on our website weekly. When we send it out, it also goes out there so the public has an opportunity. We have a large database of email users that we send that to every week, but in addition to that, we want the public to know. And so those are also available. That's a wealth of knowledge for people looking for exactly what you're saying. But occasionally we get the person who just wants to call up and know exactly what you mentioned. They can absolutely call us anytime. Staff will get the answer, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor House.
Well, what I want to say has pretty much already been said. We've talked before about this. I've been hearing about this program and the desire for it for a very long time. So thank you to you and all of your staff for making this happen.
Absolutely.
Okay. I accidentally turned your light off. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my agenda.
All right. I think we've got Councilor Thomas.
Mr. City Manager, I know that you are aware that last week, Councilor House and Councilor Huff and the mayor and I, along with you and many of your staff, attended a meeting out in Casita Road, Far Road area. And one of the issues that came up was evidently 20 or more years ago, the City of Columbus planted trees in some private citizens' yards, and those trees have now grown and are causing problems all over that entire area. And one of the things that we talked about at that meeting and that we committed to was saying to our staff, please start immediately to do a comprehensive look at that issue, particularly, I don't think it is only South Columbus, I think it's all over town, that what can we do? Times have changed in the 20 or 25 years since those trees were planted, and we have a different tree policy, if you will. And all of that's causing concerns with our citizens that have those trees. And we promised that we would bring that issue to you. That I'm doing this, I guess, probably as a referral, Mr. City Manager, but mainly to say to those citizens, we did hear what you said. We are interested, we are concerned, not only the councilors and the mayor, but the city manager and his departments are concerned about this, and we're going to do something. And the first thing that we need to do is a comprehensive study of how widespread is the problem and what exactly is the problem.
Yes.
So with that long intro, I do want to ask you to, and I think timeliness is important, that we not put this off, but that we get somebody on this as quickly as possible so that we can do whatever is necessary to alleviate some of the concerns of these citizens throughout the city. Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, and we will certainly be working on that, and we anticipate a follow-up meeting, but I will say, when we do the follow-up meeting, we will not necessarily have the response or position to the tree issue at that time, but we will be addressing some of the other issues that came up, because obviously the tree issue, as you indicated, is not just in that area, but it's citywide. And we are going to, I anticipate we're going to go through a process that we're going to make sure that we bring it here, and citizens throughout Columbus know what we're doing and what we're talking about. And I think, I acknowledge that something happened way back when, and we have a problem. And as you pointed out, we need to figure out how best to address the problem. And so we'll be looking at that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we committed to them that we would begin to try to determine the scope of the issue and address it through what we begin in August with a little bit of preliminary budgeting, and that's going to be focused on strategy, looking at ways to go ahead and identify some of the costs of some of these things and begin to plot a path so that we can get there. So I think we're all in. We understand that there's an issue. We understand there's a problem, and going on all over the city of Columbus for years.
Yes.
And we're going to get a plan together. Councilor Huff.
Let me pitch in with my sidekick here, Councilor Thomas, and say thank you to the mayor, Councilor House, Councilor Thomas, the city manager, and all the staff that came, everyone present. All of us as councilors understand, but our constituents don't always understand how excited that we are that you all take time to come out, because we talk to our constituents and let them know that we care, but when you show up, it means the world to them. So thank you all for being there, and I look forward to working with you.
Yes, sir. Councilor Woodson?
I just want to go back to the issue of the trees and the studies. Are we going to can we also check, because I know we've had many complaints where the tree has damaged driveways, and I know there was an incident I was working on, and the one I was working on was terrible. I mean, it was really, really bad, but the city wasn't responsible for the property, but I'm wondering if that was really the case, because the tree was, you know how you have the boundaries, and then that area there, the tree was like that, but for some instance, we weren't held responsible for it. But that concerned me, because that was really a terrible hole that was created by the tree. So
Yeah,
I'm
that-
just hoping that that's part of
That was
the
a primary,
conversation.
that was a
Okay.
primary concern. And what had happened, I think, is we, years ago, without an arborist, but trying to do a beautification process for residents that requested trees, there were some planted that have now made it impossible for grass to grow. The roots are tearing up sidewalks, they're tearing up driveways, and they're getting into,
And to add to that, Mayor, I remember when we were cutting down some of the trees, but we were replacing the trees with trees that wouldn't grow as high to get to the power lines and so on. But I've noticed too, especially like in Oakland Park, we've been taking lots of trees down because they're, damaged or whatever, but we're not replacing them. And I want to know if we can come back with something with that and to see why aren't we replacing some of the trees? Because, with that concrete, that black surface and the weather in Georgia where it gets so hot, there's no shade, there's no oxygen. And we have the problem of coming from Alabama with the black soot and stuff on and off. It just concerns me that we're taking so many trees out and we're not replacing any.
Well, and let me say, Mayor, we'll take a look at that, but if we're taking trees out, we certainly should be replacing them. And I will say that each year, we purchase hundreds of trees, hundreds, every single year around the first of the year, February timeframe, that we plant, and citizens can call, and we plant them on rights of way and put all over town. So we are replenishing trees annually, just by the hundreds. And but if we take one out, we should be replacing them, and we'll have a look, take a look at that. And Mr. Mayor, I do want to say, to make it clear, because we're talking about trees and we've not mentioned Trees Columbus, but they will be involved.
absolutely.
In all of what we do with trees.
Can you tell me later, is there, because I don't think you'll know the answer right now, but if you do, awesome. Do you know what the time frame will be from the time they take the tree completely out? Because they have to cut it and then they come back and they have to take the roots out. When would another tree be planted? Would it be like a year or two after?
I can't answer that question, but it could very well be when tree planting season comes around again,
Okay.
which is typically around the first of the year.
All right.
And a citizen can call, you can call right now, 311, and request that a tree be planted on the right-of-way at your home. And they won't come out and do it right now because it's not tree planting season, but when they purchase the hundreds of trees the first of the year, they'll go out to that location and plant a tree on the right-of-way in front of your house because you made a request. And so I want people out there to know that if you want a tree, just dial 311 and make the request. They won't put it out there immediately, but during tree planting season, February, first of the year, they will.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that educational.
Okay, Councilor Hutt? Did you have anything, sir?
No, but since you did turn it on, I don't know if I mentioned, the constituents did call and they did ask me. I was saying thank you from my perspective, but they did call to say thank you. Please let you and the staff and everyone know, thank you for being there.
Absolutely. Councilor Thomas, did you have something?
Yes. I think what we're asking for, and I think the city manager gets this, is a comprehensive plan that deals with not only those trees that are currently planted that are causing the problems, but how do we deal with that and what is our response to that that would include replanting of trees and all of those kinds of things. I don't want him just to come back and say we're going to cut down the trees. I want him to come back with a comprehensive plan of how we're going to deal with this concern. It was a major concern at that meeting, and I'm sure that if we had another meeting in other parts of town, it would be a major concern in other parts of town. So I'm looking for a comprehensive plan as quickly as possible to get this issue dealt with.
Well, and I know that you know this, Councilor Thomas, it will be as quickly as possible, but as quickly as possible may be...
Won't be as quick as I want it.
Right, because we've got to go through, we've got to we got to jump through some hoops and go through, bring some people together and all get on one accord and got to do some stuff. And so, but as quickly as possible. But not tomorrow. And that's why I say when we go back for the follow-up meeting, we will not be ready to lay this out at that time.
Mayor Pro Tem?
When we talk about replanting trees, it doesn't necessarily mean that the tree has to be replanted in the same area the tree was cut down, right? Yeah.
Well, and you're right, because it may be that the tree was planted in the wrong place in the beginning. And so you're right.
All right. Councilor Garrett.
Mr. City Manager, I did want you to be aware, just something that other citizens might be facing. I had 3 oak trees taken out in my old house 3 years ago, and I requested that the trees be put back. That never happened. I followed up with whoever, I guess the arborist department was, and they said something about a solvent had to be put out. And if I wanted to do that, then that would be taken care of. And then I put in a request again when somebody else bought my house, and the trees still haven't been put up. It's been 3 years.
Is it on the right-of-way?
It's on the right-of-way. And they were city-owned trees that they were taking down. But they kept saying something about the root system. They had to lay some chemical, but I think it would make sense if we take down the trees, go ahead and apply the chemical so they can put them in for the next planting season.
Okay.
But just want to bring that to your attention.
That must have been that very highly skilled, qualified arborist that...
I guess.
I guess. Well, we've got some good ones now, so I feel very confident they'll be able to come up with a solution.
What he means are too good. He's being sarcastic, Mayor.
All right,
They don't like you to touch their toes.
Madam Clerk.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. For the clerk's agenda, item 1 is a resolution excusing Councilor Barnes from today's meeting.
Second.
Motion second to excuse Councilor Barnes. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It
Item
carries.
number-
Madam Clerk, excuse me just a moment. I had skipped over the city attorney's office. I'm sorry, Ms. Shefton.
I was just going to announce before we head into the clerk's agenda that there has been a request for an executive session on personnel matters following the clerk's agenda. Just wanted to make sure people didn't get away too quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Item 2 is a resolution canceling the July 2nd proclamation session.
Motion second to cancel July 2nd's proclamation meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Item 3.
Second.
Motion second, the minutes be received. Any questions or any comments on any of the minutes that are reported? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is approved.
Item 4, board appointments. The first is for the Pension Fund Employees Board of Trustees. This is the mayor's appointment. The next.
Well, we haven't nominated him. I'm waiting to hear, I'd like to, but I'm waiting to hear back from two individuals who are.
Next, we also have one council district seat appointment. There's a Public Safety Advisory Commission. This is Councilor Huff's appointment.
Deborah Singletary, and I'll get your information.
Thank you. She may be confirmed.
Move confirmation.
Motion second to confirm. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? She's confirmed.
Next, we have council appointments. Any nominations would be listed for the next meeting. We have the Downtown Development Authority. We have Mr. Will Barnes. He is eligible to serve another term of office.
Does he want to? Do you know?
We have not had contact with Mr. Barnes as of yet, and we will follow up to make sure.
Thank you.
We also have Stephen Butler, Chris Cloninger, Billy Blanchard, and Alan Tabor. All 4 are not eligible to serve another term of office. These are council appointments. Next, we have Tree Board. We still have open up for nominations the seat of Candace Wayman. And that's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, there's been a request to go into executive session on personnel issues. Second. It's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we will be in executive session. Please clear the council chambers. right, we are back in regular session. We were in executive session to discuss personnel matters. No votes were taken. Before we adjourn, let me remind everybody that we'll have a Let's Talk Columbus scheduled for Thursday at 7 p.m., and it'll be at the Salvation Army. Is it 7? Did I say the wrong time? 6 p.m., that's what I said. It'll be at 6 p.m. At the Salvation Army on Warm Springs Road. We'd like you to come. We want your input on your community. Councilor Woodson.
Mayor, also, please don't forget that on Saturday, June the 22nd, there'll be a ribbon cutting for Westville. They will be opening their doors at 10 a.m., and we welcome the community and all the council members here to be present. It is Saturday, the 22nd of June at 10 a.m. At 10 a.m.
Yeah, that's really going to be a big deal. They've done a great job out there, and the synergy kind of created out there with the National Infantry Museum and the Westville is going to, that's going to be a destination.
And if we can get, like, staff, I know Isaiah's going, but Ms. Goodwin, if we can get that on the Access channel or something so that we can get it publicized well, that the ribbon cutting is Saturday. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Huff?
Yes, I just wanted to let the council and the mayor and everybody know in the public to extend condolences to Major Juana Sue Baca Wright. She lost her brother, and services are being planned for Friday.
Sorry to hear that. Well, thank you for sharing that. And lastly, to end on a very happy note, it's the Mayor Pro Tem's birthday Sunday. So happy birthday. It's an anniversary of your 39th birthday, right? We just won't say what anniversary. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? No. All right, we're adjourned.
Oh my God, I had it on my calendar too and forgot.
Thank you.